We are live with an exclamation
Live.
point, says StreamYard. See if we have anybody out there joining us this morning or this evening or wherever, whenever, wherever it is for you. We've got a special guest in the bullpen. I don't think we announced this last week.
No, this
I even
was
think I may have mentioned it
no.
in the past
I
on
don't
this.
think
No,
so. Maybe.
nothing. Oh, well, I
Well,
neglected hyping this up. So let's see. All things DG, Jeremy from London, and Mac84 Steve, Scarlet Swordfish, all around this morning. Bad news for next week, I guess. I don't know. I've got family in town, so I'm going to take the week off. And John and I decided, well, we've been on a regular tear, so we're just going to skip it next week. Enjoy
Trina
everybody
Conrad
2 weeks.
has joined. 65 Scribe. Chris Logan. Hello, everyone.
Hey, I guess we're past our mark here, so we should get going. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's see if this works this time. We
we didn't test it. We did some testing last week after the show.
Like another
I think
45
we resolved
minutes
it.
of trying to get our audio.
All
Yeah,
right, let's go ahead
this.
and record in. Oops, let's see. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the RetroMacCast with James and John. This is episode 574, May 2nd, 2021. Good morning, John.
Good morning, James.
Ah, that sounds good to me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. I think we resolved the problems. The thing that is very strange when you have an audio configuration that is essentially unchanged, but the configuration is unchanged, but the results change from one week to the next. That makes things very troubling, very hard to diagnose. But we did find it, even though I had that configuration for, as far as I know, years. But we found it, and it was on my end. It turns out, right? You were doing all that stuff to try to fix it on your end, but it was on my end.
Remember, I did an issue on my end also where if I hit record, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you had another issue, I think.
I had
related to my issue. Something. Anyway, we still don't know what's happening, but at least it's working. It seems to be working right now. Hopefully,
we just pressed buttons until it started working.
Yeah. Hopefully, everybody in the chat can confirm that neither of us sounds particularly robotic. So we'll press on. We have a special guest today. A long time. We'll go into the details of how long the relationship goes back. But we're excited to have Jeremy return to the show.
How many years upon years has it been?
Well, we'll talk about that when we get Jeremy on.
Okay.
He's in the bullpen right now. I can see him because we've got him in the studio. And he's wandering around. He looks a little lost, which I think could happen where he is because it's very spacious. So, yeah, we'll talk about the history when he gets on. And what else? Got some eBay finds. Got some news. Some exciting devices being manufactured that I just ordered. We're going to talk about those, and John's getting ready to order some, so that's pretty cool. I think that's about it. So let's get to some eBay finds here in a bit. Okay. I'll get configured here for eBay, and whenever you're ready, John.
Almost. Am I doing the WAS?
Sure.
All right.
I don't know. What is your shirt?
Oh, it is MST3K I'm wearing it in honor of the fact there is an MST3K Kickstarter right now to do new episodes, and it's already it's got what 7 more days to go. It's already at almost 4 million for the show. People really love MST3K. They've been doing live streaming things on Facebook all week, where they've been airing an old movie, and some of the newer people have been commenting on that. It's been fun. It's been fun. So yep.
Great. I've got I pulled out another Apple shirt. It was probably worn by the Apple employees at the store. This one's Student Union.
I have to say that's my favorite shade of green.
This must have coincided with the whenever the back to school specials. You remember if you would get a new Mac and you would get a discount on an iPod. Remember iPods? Tether it there, sync them up. All right, let's get to eBay finds in 3, 2, 1. Time now for the eBay finds. Last week we had this guy, the 128K Mac. This one even had the original box. There was a sad Mac code on there, so it would need a little TLC to get in full working order. But nonetheless, after 13 bids, it got up to $1,024. Very appropriate too, right? 1024. Then the remanufactured through the looking glass floppy disk, right? So not an original, but this seller makes a number of reproductions of classic Mac games, and I think even system software. Buy it now, $19.99 Canadian. And we kicked off this auction, I think, with some live bidding on the podcast last week. The Newton Dummy product, which is what seems to be like a wooden full-scale model of the original message pad. There were 2 of these for sale. The first one, after 4 bids, went for $29. The other one got $63.91. So
interesting.
One of those 2 winners got the better deal, obviously.
Right.
Because I think they were pretty much identical. All right. We'll start off with this little guy. Back when the original G3 iMacs were coming out, and everybody was embracing the candy-colored shells, there were a lot of other products that were mimicking the aesthetic, either just doing translucent plastics, whether it was a George Foreman grill or something else, or even coming out with little different versions of the iMac case itself, but in other products, obviously unlicensed. Although I didn't, the Timex clock, was that? Do you think that was? I don't think that was licensed.
I don't think it was licensed.
Yeah, it's funny that a company like Timex would totally blatantly rip off another company's aesthetic with their clocks. I don't think this one was not a very big company. This title says Vintage 90s iMac Red Strawberry Mini Toy Retro Model Apple Macintosh Piggy Bank. And the seller has a number of the different colors for sale.
Really? Wow.
Zeroed in on the strawberry. Yeah, I think there were like 4 or 5 different colors. It says it's a mint condition iMac G3 Strawberry Relic. The coin bank sticker is easily removable, and this beautiful miniature is great for an office desk or home decor. Works as a piggy bank from 1998. I don't know. Do you get a sense of the dimensions on this thing? You're not going to get rich if you fill this up with coins.
It doesn't. Yeah, I kind of looking at the grain of the granite countertop, I would have to think this thing's pretty small, right? The size of the screw heads and everything.
I don't think it can be more than a few inches on a side. It does say coin bank on the back. It looks like, is that like a little stopper on the top? Where do you put the
Oh,
coins?
like maybe you put the coins, or do you think that's actually maybe just a little lid, and they're just calling it? 'Cause, yeah, I don't see a slot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on there.
but that's obviously this is going to be somebody's going to buy one of these to put a Raspberry Pi in. That's going to happen.
Right, and with a red tinted screen, would it be?
Well, I
Could you
assume
throw,
they will take
replace
that
that?
chunk of plastic out. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you could probably you'd be better off probably 3D printing your own
absolutely.
enclosure if
Yeah,
you were
there's
going to try to.
so many good
But
3D
yeah,
models out there now. But
yeah. This
still,
this would be a challenge though. This is small. Again, it's probably only a couple inches high. They want to buy it now of $29.99. Ships from Oakland, California. But one of these things where there were lots of these little doodads, and I probably bought most of them. But somehow this one slips
I wonder
by
where
me. I think it will continue to slip by me. Huh?
like you said, they've got several of the colors too for sale,
Yeah.
all for the same price. I'll buy it now. They're just weird that I wonder how long they had these, or if they obviously bought them all at some point because they have graphite, they've got lime.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I wonder what
interesting.
if they were giveaways
Yeah, yeah.
from a bank or whatever. I mean, I
Mm,
can't imagine
mm.
they would. This would be a highly popular item to sell. I guess maybe
Hmm.
that's why they're still around.
Oh yeah, and
All
the last one
right.
they have is
Yeah.
they have a
Uh-huh.
blueberry. Actually, it looks
Aha.
more like indigo, but hey, all right, okay, yeah. Next up, we have a vintage Apple Macintosh 2GS computer, WAS limited edition. This is one of the ones that's, it actually says limited edition on the side, and it's got WAS's signature printed on the front. If I remember correctly, these would have been a ROM 1. So now this one does have some issues. So does power on, two dings when it comes on, green light comes on as well, no power cord included. Not tested with, they say not tested with a computer. Obviously, what they mean is not tested with a monitor because they probably did not have a 2GS monitor around too. So, no keyboard, no monitor. You're getting just the computer, and I doesn't even look like it has any extra cards in it. Looking at the back picture, so yeah, you're getting just the computer. It has some issues. I really wish they had at least taken one picture with the lid off,
Hmm.
so we could see the condition of the battery that is soldered onto the logic board. You know, who knows what's lurking inside this? Now they do want wow, it's already up to 11 bids, $71 at the moment. Let's see, this still has 3 days to go, and it's coming out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Hmm.
Huh. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a shame. The just a couple of more photos would have helped us understand
Hmm.
it better.
Hmm.
Um, and if it had that little certificate of authenticity, would also be a nice thing to have.
Oh yeah, don't actually have a WAS limited edition one.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
would have had one.
No,
Hmm.
maybe someday.
Have eluded you. All right, and finally, look at that. Wow, that's a unicorn. Don't use that often. This is the vintage Apple Macintosh Quadra 700 in working condition, the rare black edition.
Is there really a
Um,
rare black edition, or did somebody paint this thing?
oh, maybe they did. Yes, because it was never released in black. It was painted,
Okay.
and they're kind of playing it off like it was in fact a legit variation of the 700, um, which, as far as I know, it wasn't. And so this was a hand painted effort, but they did
Hmm.
a great job.
It
Um,
does. It looks very good. Yeah.
yeah, it first of all, it's not the typical. You see some of these custom ones, and they're glossy, which
Right.
doesn't really fit the aesthetic
Hmm.
of the Mac. This it's like it's the same sort of luster as the beige would have been. And they took the care also to remove the logo.
Yeah.
And make sure that
Yeah.
it looks like a factory job. There is one little.
It also doesn't. It doesn't even
yeah.
really look like it was spray painted. It looks like it was probably painted like in a spray booth or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Very even.
Yeah, it's very nice and even. At least it looks like that way in the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is something you could do with your own if you got an overly yellowed case and you don't want to retrobrite it. Unfortunately there's the little chip there in the corner.
Oh yeah.
Of course, you turn to the back, you can see the remnants of the beige. Pretty good shape. It does say it powers on. However, we've got no pictures of the screen booting on. Powering on could mean a number of different things.
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of weird because they also don't mention how much RAM is in it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's cool that it's a black computer and everything. However, if you're actually wanting to put the money down that they're asking for it, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, they're hoping to cash in on the implied rarity of this.
Yeah.
You can actually see the power light there on the first picture, so you can confirm that the light comes on. Yeah, they want $800 for this and buy it now, which is obscene. But there is a make an offer, so maybe you can get in under that if you really want this. I kind of doubt that we'll see a sale on this anytime soon.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, especially since of course, when you open up something on eBay, it shows you other ones, and here's like a nice working Quadra 700 with keyboard and mouse. Buy it now, $598. But at least it's working and it has a keyboard and mouse. So
right.
Yeah.
Looking over the chat, let's see. Steve Mac84 says, yeah, that's a good little bank to save up for the new colored iMac. You're going to have to put like doubloons in there or something rather than
Hey, Derek.
coins.
What's up, man?
Wow. Derek from Mac Folklore Radio is on. All right. Jeremy, standing by. I think we're ready for you. Are you ready for us? Okay.
He's been waiting in our green room. Let's have him out. Come on.
Well, actually, let's introduce him and then I'll add him. So we're going to start the segment and then I'll add him. So this way I can keep him from interrupting my intro. Okay. You ready to go, John?
I am all set.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. All right. On to our special guest. I think I mentioned his name right at the beginning, Jeremy Marley, a longtime friend of the podcast. When I say long time, I got to go back and look at the history. Jeremy first appeared on episode 7. That's 7, right? Episode 7 was on, it aired on February 5th, 2007. Over 14 years ago. And he came to our attention probably because of, and he can correct us, I think it was the CNN interview he did about his collection. He had this amazing Macintosh collection set up in his basement. It was on television, kind of CNN coverage. So we were able to get a hold of him. I don't remember how. Have him on the show, and he's since appeared quite a few other times. I think 5 or 6 times now, being guest host, and I had the opportunity to go visit him and his collection in episode. Gosh, which one was that? I don't remember. I don't have to go back and check, but got a tour of his collection, and he's back. So let's bring him back. Let's add him to the stream. There he is. Good morning, Jeremy.
Morning.
Was it? It was right. CNN. You got all that
It was,
press. Well, how did that happen?
uh, yeah, that's interesting. I think so. I think it was originally, it was a Flickr thread that I had put the photos up on, and I want to say was it Spy Mac?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it was a website called Spy Mac, and it was kind of what Retro Battle Stations is now on Reddit. It was kind of like show off your vintage like machine or whatever, or your setup. And then I just showed my setup as being like a bunch of vintage Macs, and people were like, "What the?"
Yeah,
And
and I
then
think
Oh,
from
I
that,
distinctly remember your iMac display.
yeah, yeah, which I recreated here. It's just in a different part of the house. But yeah, so man, you're testing my memory here.
well,
But no, yeah, you're right. Somehow I guess the AP got a hold of it, and I think that's
Mhm,
what CNN had, and all the other news outlets. I think all pulled from that same AP article. Um,
mhm.
but yeah, and then like a local paper, and then a local, um, uh, you wouldn't even say YouTuber, but a local video podcast um, put a video up, and that one was pretty popular
I
too.
see.
Which
Yeah. So anyway, it is kind of ballooned from there, and I was able to benefit from some of the side effects of that because Jeremy was got this corporate gig invite and could not. I don't remember why you declined it.
because I was working at Apple at the time.
Oh, what? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I worked
Oh,
retail
that's right. That's
for
right. You were in
Apple.
the store.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And it was like my whole thing got famous right at the time that I quit my like day job doing video editing, and I started working at the Apple store. For I worked there for 6 years. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so it was like right when that happened, and I was like, I can't do this
Yeah.
because they'll
So
like find me out. So
T-Mobile invited Jeremy to go speak at their national annual um, conference or whatever it was in Denver, their Big Five, and because they wanted extreme fans, and they came across him and a couple of others from other products. So he passed it along to me, and I got to go and have an awesome time. So thank you again for that. That was quite
yeah,
an
no problem.
experience. Jeremy actually might have worn one of these shirts. Was this before your time at the Apple Store? Was this
No,
familiar?
that was during my time.
Oh,
Yeah, that
okay.
was definitely a back to school. Um, yeah, a back to school promotion.
So fast forward to more recently here. I've been seeing your posts over in on Facebook in the vintage. I think it's Vintage Mac group there, and he had been gearing up for kind of a new version of the hobby. And I don't remember what did you call? What was the name of your basement before? Was it
I didn't
Jeremy's
have a name
basement?
for it. It was just my
Unnamed.
basement.
It was unnamed. He
Yeah.
definitely has a name of the new place,
Hmm.
and it's a little bit different. So the old one was your basement. It was filled all Macs. They have been
Yes.
set up for display for use. How many roughly? Do you remember how many computers were set up down there or on display?
Probably set up that like you could use wasn't that many.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna guess 20.
Okay, it seemed like more than that, but they were all beautifully displayed,
Yeah, I had
designed.
like all the iMacs, all the colors of the iMac I had as a wall display. I had a
Right.
bunch of classic twos as like I built the bar out of, if you remember that.
Oh, right.
Um, yeah, and so that was like all classic twos and classics, I believe. Um, and then yeah, and then I had my Power Macs kind of set up that you could use, and then I had a couple um, beige era Power
Right.
Mac setup as well, and then an Apple II, and then all the all-in-ones like excuse me, um, 128 through a 20th anniversary Mac. on that one wall. So.
And then you're not in the same basement now.
No,
this is a
so
different
I had
place.
sold that house, and
Okay.
I moved to the new house, and then, and then in the new house, like all the other projects kept taking precedence, and so 10 years went by, and I just had them kind of in the basement, and nothing ever set up, and then luckily there was a pandemic that I had the time. No,
Silver linings, people. Silver linings.
Yeah, terrible choice of words. But but yeah, I had the time to finally work on the project of getting the basement reset up. And yeah, I think I was originally going to call it like Jeremy's computer basement or something, and then I saw Adrian's digital basement. I was like, well, I can't really do that again. So yeah. So I call it Jeremy's Retro Bar. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And it's called, there's a couple of meanings. Well, maybe there's just one meaning. I don't know. It's a retro bar because it literally drinks are being poured.
Yes. Yeah. I make a drink in every episode. So it's a YouTube channel. And then, yeah. And so in every episode that I make a cocktail at the beginning to like set the mood for the episode.
Are they themed cocktails for what you're...
They're loosely themed, but then like I started to get some weird drinks when the like names like were themed too closely to what I was doing. Like some drinks are just bad, and then I was like, I'm like, well, what computer am I going to show if I want to make a margarita, you know? And so
okay.
Like, so then I'm like, I want to do some where I just do a drink that like is good, so that you know people won't just be like, oh, every drink that Jeremy makes on his channel is terrible. So,
and are you actually? Because I was watching the episode where you recapped your Mac Plus, and you poured yourself a strong drink.
Yes.
Are you really? I mean, don't tell me you're actually doing some of that work, that very delicate work, while you're under the influence.
No, not usually. Not usually.
Not usually. Okay.
Like sometimes it's just, you know, nice. It calms the nerves a little bit that, you know, you can have a little steadier hand. But yeah, I'm not getting smashed like recapping a Mac.
That would be a great show too.
I usually, I was gonna say, usually I'm having a beer if I'm recapping.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know. But yeah, maybe I should do one where I just get smashed and, you know, try to do delicate work, but on something that's not expensive or rare.
So the Retro Bar is now more inclusive. It doesn't just have the Macs. Now, I don't remember, were you collecting other non-Apple computers before?
I was before my basement got famous.
Okay.
So yeah, like from basically like the late 90s till probably 2005, I had a bunch of other computers. I had some Ataris. I had a lot of IBMs. I really liked old IBMs. So you know, stuff like that. And that's what I grew up on. Like I switched to the Mac like full time as my main computer in 2002 with the iMac G4. And so yeah, so I kind of had that back catalog and that nostalgia for it. But then when I did the basement at the first house, I was like, I don't have room for all these other machines. So I just said, well, the Macs look the best. So like, if I want to make this look good, I'm going to put the computers that look the best in the area that looks good. And so that was kind of the logic behind it. And I was, you know, full into the Apple world at that time. Right. And so I was like, well, I'll never look back. There's no reason for me to ever, you know, do any PC things. And then time went on and I got older and got more nostalgic and I was like, oh, I do miss DOS. So yeah.
Said no one ever until now. No, we kid. So now you've got a large range of computers on display and operating, I'm going to assume, and looks like a bigger basement. So
yes, it's bigger as far as like this main area. But I was smart this time, and I gave myself a workshop. So the last time my entire basement was the collection, and there was no room for anything else. Like
Yeah.
every square inch was just put to displaying. But anytime I needed to work on a machine, I had no spot to do it. So here I actually have storage, like stuff that's not on the floor. I've got a big storage room full of computers, and then that's also where my workshop is. So, but
Wow.
you won't be getting a tour of that because it is not clean.
Okay. Maybe another time.
Yeah.
Well, you want to give us a quick now there is a detailed walkthrough on your channel.
Yeah,
But if you want to give us a little taste of it, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, kind of here is just like this room divider display area that I have, and it's got a variety of machines. I've got some early IBMs. I've got some Macs. I've got some Japanese computers here from Sharp and Sony. I've got this weird
Hey, James?
internet device, the Audrey.
Could you make the picture, make this picture big, please?
I can. I
Sorry.
can.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
Oh,
we've
look at
got,
that.
like,
Yeah. The Audrey.
The weird Audrey. And,
Yep.
my Mac Plus that I recapped, and some Tandies, and
The Wear Black Classic Mac.
which, yeah, I need to do an episode on it because there's like a story behind it, but like I need to figure out how to get the research to figure out kind of what this guy was used for.
Mm-hmm.
It was given to me by a guy who edited video, so I think it has something to do with that. Probably logging tapes or something like that. But anyway, this was my laptop in high school. And then Bondi Blue, again some MSX, and then some game consoles here because I do have some like my game console area, which again that's more on my channel. And then kind of over here is like the wall of the Apple computers.
Now the background there is that the natural what the basement was, or did you do that? What's the texture?
Oh no,
there?
yeah, that's the basement wall.
Wow.
I just thought it looked cool, so I
does.
wanted to keep it. And then also kind of from a maintenance perspective, it's like I don't want to cover it up and then have there, be like a leak or something and then have to take the drywall down. So I designed it in a way that utilized as much concrete as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So floors concrete, walls concrete, and then the floor joists are all, just exposed. I didn't cover anything up.
So now
that basement looks huge. How many square feet is that?
It's 1,500.
Wow.
Wow. That's more than my entire house.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
like
awesome.
I don't think a lot of Apple stores are that big.
Yeah, they are. Well, now they are.
The smaller ones in the malls are probably not any bigger than that. And so you've got this long
You're right, 'cause
table.
they're 30 foot wide, and my basement is 35 feet wide.
There you go.
Yeah. But they're longer. But
Yeah.
anyway.
So
So then, I've got my Apple II, 2GS. The Mac 2 does need a full recap restore. It's non-functioning at this time. And then the Quadra, where I did the SCSI to SD episode, missing a monitor, so I need to fill that gap. And then my blue and white, my Quicksilver, my mirror drive door, and then my G5.
Of course, everything paired with the
And a
appropriate
Mac Pro.
monitor.
Yeah, and then again, I'm missing a monitor here. So, yeah, it's sad. I sold off a lot of the beige era stuff when it was looking like this wasn't going to happen. Like when it was looking like I wasn't going to be able to ever finish the basement. And then, of course, right after I sold everything, prices on vintage computers all skyrocketed. So like I sold it like at the very end of them being really cheap to do. So, oh well. And then over here, got my TAM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Your next slab.
Yeah, next slab, and then some IBMs, Commodore 64, and then this area is all
Wow.
motherboards from the area appropriate, like the time appropriate. So, you know, they all have the motherboards of a 286 or a 386 or a 486 in them, but they I put them all in new cases with new power supplies. So
Nice.
so there's less like problems. And then again, because I just think it's starting to kind of grow on me, the beige PC era, but like my first impression is just that it's not good looking. And so I was just like, well, I'll put it in these cases with large glass panels to show off the components, because that's kind of the star of the show anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then just having new cases for it so that I don't have to deal with the ugliness of a lot of those machines. So, but that's
So what's in the cabinets over there? You kind of
the
glossed
cabinets
over
are my game systems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh yeah.
That is great.
So those aren't, obviously they're not hooked up.
They are.
Or are they? Are they hooked to that
Yeah.
TV there? Oh.
They're all hooked up to this
Oh,
TV,
so
and they're
the
all
wires are all carefully
Beautiful.
disguised, and yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful room for sure, especially with the lighting and.
Yeah, I made these myself.
That looks really nice. Great.
Made the desks myself.
Wow.
Yeah, and the door. I made this door.
Nice.
So, yeah, I had time to do some woodworking, so probably should have started a woodworking channel.
Yeah. Well, as such, you have your YouTube channel that I guess is going to cover all those things that we saw there and more as you get them
Absolutely.
in depth. And so we'll encourage all our listeners to head on over to Jeremy's Retro Bar. We'll post links, and we'll have to check in with you more often. Not, I think it went like 7 years since the last time we spoke.
Well, and also I do have another area of my house that is going to be like exclusively Apple. So like these are all these machines, but I'm still doing an all-in-one area, and because I have my iMac wall set up like right when you come in the house.
Oh, cool!
Nice.
So
it's
very
like
nice.
And so in that area where those are, I plan on setting up a table and having kind of the different eras of iMacs and the early 68K Macs set up in there. So
nice.
So yeah,
all
I
right.
mean,
well,
it might be a couple years, but
we might need another pandemic. But we'll get there. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thanks for the tour. It's good to see you again.
Of course.
And we'll check in again before too long. Whether or not, we don't even have to wait for that other area to be set up. We just need to make sure we keep in touch.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was neat.
Yeah, I am envious.
Gosh,
that is great.
yeah.
Jeremy, that is such a great setup. Fantastic. Yeah, I miss a house with a basement,
Yeah, we don't have basements down here.
We don't have basements
in Florida.
here. No, because they just end up being in-ground pools in Florida. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's gosh. I mean, you would just go in that basement and never leave. There's just so much stuff going on. You just, do all kinds of things. But it's great that he's turning that into a YouTube channel.
Yes.
Because it's such a spectacular environment. All right. Well, go on over to Jeremy's YouTube channel, Jeremy's Retro Bar, or his homepage is jeremysretrobar.com. All right, we are on break, and looking back at the comments, people are jealous and drooling. Yeah, Steve Mac 84. I'm sure he could use the space too. He seems like he's crammed into wherever he is in his house. I don't know. Well, it's just that we get so much stuff. It just, I maybe over time, Jeremy's will look as cramped as John or mine. He gets into real hoarding. It's very difficult because you can say, well, I could fit one more computer
Yep.
right
It's
there.
very hard. I mean, as it is right now, I mean, my garage is, of course, the thing in the garage is usable. Is basically my long-term storage, so to speak. I try to leave it, this area so everything can be sat down and turned on, but you definitely get system creep. Like you said, where it's like, well,
System
I could just
bloat.
stack this on out. Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike's Mac Shack says Steve is only crammed because of all his stuff. Yeah, he probably has a lot of space. He's just got too much stuff for the space. All right. What do we got? We got news. Let's switch gears here.
Oh, yeah. All right. Hang on. Let me bring up those links.
Let me know when you're ready.
All set.
All right, and 3, 2, 1. It's time for the news. A great handful of retro news stories this week, beginning with this one. The artist uses an iPad Pro running classic Macintosh OS to make NFTs. Are you following the whole NFT thing, John? As an
Yes,
artist, digital artist
I'm
yourself.
familiar with it. It's. I guess I can understand where it's coming from, but it still seems a little odd.
Right. The idea of digitally, like, making sure that your digital art, whatever that might be, is identifiable to you or to whoever purchases, I guess, in the hopes that people can still make money from it.
Yeah.
Right. Even though it can be very easily replicated and used throughout it. Technically, it's not supposed to be used for commercial purposes unless you have true ownership, and it's a difficult thing to police, right? So anyway, this that's sort of a side issue. Actually, what's going on here is that this artist, Matt Sefton, wanted to create 1-bit images of classic Mac art in that style, inspired by Susan Kerr herself. So he's been doing it on an iPad, even using an Apple Pencil. But it required a little bit of hijinks to get it going, which included running OS 7 on his iPad. So he's actually running Basilisk 2.
Oh, okay. I would have thought maybe perhaps a mini VMAC, but that's awesome that you got Basilisk 2 running on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he published a step-by-step guide on how to do it. It's linked in this article. The article appears over on inputmag.com.
I wonder if that would work on an older iPad. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. And so, creating 1-bit art can be a little tedious with a mouse. It's a lot more natural with an Apple Pencil, which is why he did this. And so he drew this piece of art right here, which is reminiscent of that woodblock style Japanese artwork that was done back for the original Macintosh by Susan. He sold this one for the equivalent of $642.64 in whatever ETH is. Yeah, I'm not even up. He sold it for 0.275 ETH. If that means anything to somebody, I guess it's one of those cryptocurrencies.
Digital currencies. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I guess it was a woman combing her hair was the original one that inspired him to do this one. So very awesome. So yeah, I would imagine. So he had to build up his own iOS app in Xcode using Basilisk 2 source code.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
But there's a step-by-step guide. But this, so it's running. It's not jailbroken or whatever. I'm sure it has to be run in some kind of developer mode so you can install your own apps. But there's some possibilities there, right, John?
Yeah. Yeah.
what you could
Beautiful.
do. Yeah. All right, and the folks at Lego, I guess, periodically pulse the community to get inspiration for new kits that they might sell. And so users will submit their own project ideas, and then the community votes on them. And so this product idea was submitted by the Robin84 underscore tech underscore Inc. Macintosh plus Apple is the project. And it is a full scale Lego model of a Macintosh Plus. Okay. And it looks like they didn't actually build, because these photos here are from the digital model, right?
Yeah, there's a digital there's an application that lets you build
Mm-hmm.
Lego things with all the Lego parts that are available, but just as a simulation.
Right.
Yeah, I've got my friend Joe, who I don't see on today, but he would know a lot about that because he has got a huge Lego collection. But
Right.
it's kind of cool because it gives you a part list of everything that you would have needed for the particular model you came up with. It's pretty cool.
Well, if you want to see this realized, you should go over to ideas.lego.com and vote. However you vote, give your support for this project. There are 1,463 supporters right now, and there are 587 days left. I don't know why there's such a
Oh
long
my gosh.
time to vote on this. I think the hang up is going to be getting permission from, I don't know, Apple.
Certain place in Cupertino that
Yeah,
may have issues with this.
right. They might have issues. Or I don't know why they should. I mean, this is obviously a huge sort of homage to Apple. I'm not sure about you see the simulated screenshot
Yes. Yeah.
of it's the Lego man from the '84 video or something like that. What am
Oh
I
no,
looking
to
at
me it
there?
looks like the original Lego astronaut minifig
Oh,
done big.
okay. I thought there was a tie-in to the 1984 commercial. Maybe not. I think Hello would probably be the better,
Well, that's the
better
nice
one.
thing. If it is Legos, you could do whatever you wanted for the screen.
Right, right. And let's see. Oh, we were mentioning at the top of the show, a new toy. It's always great to buy new stuff for old Macs, and Blue Scuzzy is available. Eric Helgeson, hope I have that right, is the designer. It's another way to boot your Mac with a micro SD card. The design is out there, or there are a number of makers that provide kits or even fully assembled versions of this. If you go to scuzzy.blue, you get the list of the current inventory of the various makers that offer this. John and I were talking about this earlier. We were trying to figure out the differences between this and the other big alternative, which is SCSI to HD or SCSI to SD.
SD.
And the big one here being what, John?
Yeah. So the big one here is, so SCSI SD, you are actually formatting that SD card as an HFS, device, which means that you can't just pull the card out, pop it into a new Mac in a card reader, and add things to it. This one, you are actually putting a hard drive image like you would use with Basilisk 2 or Sheep Shaver, and you're able to just go and just drag it onto the SD card, and it works that way, which is just so much more convenient, to be able to kind of go back and forth between real hardware and, say, a virtual machine.
And it's cheaper too.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't have.
Oh,
Yeah.
depending on which kit you get. Yeah.
Right. I think about 50 fully assembled. About half that for if you just want the parts. Steve Mac84 points out that it doesn't have Power Mac capability just yet.
Oh, okay. So probably not something you'd want to set up in Cheap Shaver then, but still Basilisk 2.
Right, but it does have a long list of compatible Macs, the early Macs, right? SCSI-based early Macs, like the classic Mac era. But they are working. Eric is working, I guess, on their new versions all the time, advancing the design, and maybe one day there will be Power Mac capability too, which would be great. So yeah, I ordered a couple of these. I know they'll come in handy. And John, I think you're going to get some, and so we can we come back later and talk about our experiences. Go to you can Google Blue SCSI. I think you'll find your way to either the designers page or the various places where you can buy these.
Yeah, I just ordered 2 today. Looking forward to playing with those.
Very good. Awesome. All right. Yet is the key word. Yes, for Power Mac compatibility. Yeah, it's all open source. Great community behind it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, John is cracking again.
The fully assembled. I'm sorry.
Your voice is you get that little crackling occasionally on you, which we hadn't. It was over a month ago, I think, when we had that, and we thought it was you running your microphone through a hub, but I don't think you're doing that now.
Maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just a streaming issue, perhaps.
Like it right then, it was fine. So it comes and goes.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say is, if you're not good with soldering, you can get the full up assembled kit for $50. One of the one person also has it where you can get the partially soldered kit. I guess the worst component for soldering is the micro SD card slot reader, which is a surface mount, which is going to have a lot of little tiny pins. So he sells a kit with that soldered on, but you have to solder the rest, which is all through the hole soldering. It's not as involved as that surface mount stuff. And so that one is $35, and then if you want to just get the kit as is, it's $25. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's record the outro, and then maybe Jeremy's still sitting there, just hanging out. Maybe if he wants to join us after the show, we can kibitz a little bit more. I don't know if he's got time. He says okay, just for a little while. All right, let's record the outro. You ready?
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, that about wraps it up. Our thanks to Jeremy Murley showing us around the retro bar. So exciting to see that. Well, for one, all those computers and everything that he had has found new life in a new environment, a brand new home. And so it's so exciting about the possibilities that are going to come out in his new YouTube channel. Next week, I think I mentioned this already, we're going to be off. Or no, I didn't mention that. I can never remember what I mentioned to the YouTube audience or to our audio podcast listeners, but I have family in town, so I'm going to take the week off. And I think, John, you and I decided that we probably earned a break. So we'll.
But it does sound like I'm going to take that time to join Steve on something, perhaps next week. Mac84. Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm jealous. Yeah, I've never been invited. So. Yeah. Well.
He's saving the best for last. Come on.
All right. So until 2 weeks from now, remember, it's not old.
It's 2 weeks from now, retro.
Okay, so we're going to add, look who's back.
Bam.
He's just hanging out there. I like that you had, I'm assuming you don't leave all those computers running 24 hours a day, that you took the time to go turn everything on before you joined us. I'm sure there's always that, cross fingers with one hand and flip the switch with the other. Make sure everything's still working.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think that brought me back to retro computing is that there's so much more information out there than when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
That like I now I sold my Lisa because I did that. I crossed my fingers every time I turned it on. I was like, this thing's gonna die. This thing's gonna die. And I was like, I can't deal with the stress. I'm selling it. And then like, of course, since then, like, you know, I learned to solder and recap a thing, and I'm like, oh, I could have fixed that. And so yeah, so now I'm like not as scared because like if it doesn't come on, it's like, oh well, at least I have a path to a solution, you know.
Right. Well,
So yeah,
just think about the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. What's happened to the hobby, in terms of YouTube channels and whatever. I mean, there's so much more going on today than we started doing it. Not that we started it, but
yeah, I know it's crazy. Yeah, and like because like again, I like backed off of the hobby for a while, and I didn't realize that the YouTube channels were out there. Excuse me. Yeah, and so and then you know I come back and they're like, oh, here's hard drive emulators and floppy emulators to like getting software onto them was such a hassle. You know, because it'd be like, okay, I have to just sit on eBay and try to get the game. You know, like whatever it is that I'm trying to get, and then now it's just so much easier to get stuff onto them that yeah, it's a lot easier as a hobby to do. So
yeah, people talking about it, people making things, real products available for us to purchase. It's just on, and then you know you have the Kickstarter activities with you know the cases, and it just goes on and on and on. And so it's funny how it's
and retrobrighting wasn't a thing until like you know I like had a friend tell me about that like you know I guess what 2012 13 14 somewhere in there, and I was like, oh, that's cool because yeah, like when me and you would bid on stuff on eBay at the time, it's like things that were yellowed were just like you wouldn't buy them because you know there was no solution, and then there's suddenly like a solution to that,
like a real solution.
Right. I still haven't attempted it yet. I need it. That's what I plan on doing in the future. I have never attempted to retrobrite a thing. So
yeah, that's why you need a rooftop place too, not because you're not going to get that done in the basement.
I have a deck on my roof.
Okay, there you go.
Deck on
You can have the retrobrighting bar up there.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's coming up next? What video is next for you?
The next one that I think I'm doing is actually a CD-ROM emulator. So it's a PC focused thing, but it's an IDE CD-ROM emulator that actually has audio output on it. Like, because you can take the SCSI to SD and you can make it do a CD image and then mount that as a virtual CD-ROM in a way. But there's not really any other solution. And then I found this one guy who makes a board that I haven't really seen anybody else talk about. So yeah, I'm gonna test that out. It's super expensive, so it's probably why no one talks about it. But as a solution to see if it's usable or if it's yeah. So I just started playing with it yesterday. But yeah, that's my next one. And then I'm probably going to circle back around to the Mac stuff. But I have some Amiga stuff I need to take care of. I'm like desperately trying to understand that platform and I'm failing. So I think I'm eventually going to make a video called I think I'm too dumb to use an Amiga.
So you didn't grow up with Amigas then?
No, I've never. It was one of those things where again it was. I really only knew anybody who had PCs, and then occasionally a person who had I think a neighbor had an Apple II when I was real young, and then in the schools had Macs, but I was really unaware of most of the other platforms. Yeah, and so like I like learning, so like I'm real interested in like kind of testing out the new stuff,
Sure.
but I
Well,
keep
there's one
hitting all
thing
these roadblocks with Amigas. So.
you mentioned Amiga. One thing we've talked about that neither John or I had gotten into, we keep talking about learning more about it, is the Amiga's ability to actually run Macintosh software or whatever it was able to do, right? Because it's got
The
it's
bridge
running off
board that you
Motorola.
would put the ROMs in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen I think RMC did a video about it, and there's another guy called Dr. Dave's Diversions that did it. That was his Mac growing up, was a Amiga running Mac OS.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, eventually I would love to find somebody who's actually gotten to use one and get them on the show to just kind of talk about that whole situation. So,
Yeah, no, he like, yeah, the Dr. Dave guy is like that. He still is using the one that he had from college.
oh, that's great.
Like, and so like when it was Macintosh, all his videos were about him doing Mac things, but on his Amiga.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
well, look
We'll
at
have
that.
to look for those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I think we about used up our hour.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to pay extra money into the machine. Thanks everybody in the chat for joining
Thanks,
us.
everyone.
We had probably a record turnout. Of course, it doesn't take much to break the record, but it's still encouraging. Do you do that live? Do you do your show live? Or you don't? It's all pre-recorded, right? You don't do a
No,
interactive.
I'm my day job is post-production, so there's no way I'm gonna be doing live. Like, I need to cover up all my mistakes.
Yeah, we gave up long ago doing that. All right. Thanks again. We'll see everyone in a couple of weeks. Thanks, Jeremy. We'll see you whenever we see you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, bye, everyone.